All right. International press conference on the continued detention of MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI and the alleged plot to poison him. On behalf of El-RUFAI Life, El-RUFAI Boys and Girls, Nasiriya Youth Movement, and collection of AREWA youth groups, we welcome members of the press, the diplomatic community, MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI supporters, and ADC members here today. We have convened this international press conference because we can no longer remain silent. MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI, a man who dedicated the greater part of his adult life to public service, now finds himself in a situation that raises serious questions about the state of justice and democracy in Nigeria. For over 100 days, he has been held in detention under conditions that many legal minds consider punitive rather than protective of the judicial process. As co-supporters who have worked with MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI through these years, as Governor of Kaduna State and as Minister of Federal Capital Territory, we know the depth of his commitment to this country. MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI never ran away from accountability. He returned to Nigeria from abroad to honor this particular invitation. Yet, despite court orders granting him bail, he remained in custody of ICPC and sometimes in DSS. This is not the Nigeria many of us fought and hoped for. What makes this situation even more disturbing, as the recent public allegation by a political commentator, Timi Frank, who stated that there is a plot within the security cycle to poison MALAM NASIRU and release him in conditions that could lead to his death outside custody. These are not ordinary allegations. They speak to the possibility of state-sponsored harm against a citizen who has not been convicted of any crime. Such claims coming from a source with claimed connection within the system cannot be ignored or treated lightly. We are deeply troubled by the glaring double standard in the application of justice in Nigeria today. While MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI and several of his former associates are being subjected to prolonged detention and unrealistic bail conditions, other individuals facing far more serious allegations appear to enjoy relative freedom and even political reward. This selective approach to justice is ending the public confidence and creating the dangerous impression that the law is being used as a tool against political opponents rather than an instrument of fairness. For instance, the former Kogi Governor Yahaya Bello, who is facing allegations involving over 80 billion and resisted arrest by the EFCC in a dramatic manner, was eventually granted bail under conditions that allow him reasonable freedom, even to travel to Saudi. Today, he is actively contesting as the APC senatorial candidate for Kogi Central under the ruling party, APC. Similarly, former Delta State Governor Ifeanyi Okowa, who faced serious allegations bordering on the mismanagement of trillions in his state, has found political accommodation and positioning himself within the ruling APC structure. We have also seen how former Imo State Governor Rochas Okorochas, who had multiple cases involving billions of naira, continued his political activities with relative ease. His allies and family members have also benefited from political appointment under the current administration. These individuals, despite facing grave allegations, have not been subjected to the kind of prolonged detention, impossible bail conditions, or alleged plot to eliminate them that we are now witnessing in the case of Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI. This selective application of justice raises fundamental question. Why is it that some former governors with far more serious financial allegations are working freely, contesting election under the ruling party, and even being considered for higher political offices, while Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI, who has not been convicted of any offense, is being kept in detention through what appears to be deliberate difficult bail condition? This disparity is becoming too obvious to ignore and is damaging the credibility of our justice system. One cost of this prolonged detention cannot be overlooked. Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI is not just a former governor or a minister. He is a husband, a father, a grandfather. His continuous absence from his family, his inability to receive proper medical attention when needed, and the restriction placed on his access to loved ones and legal counsel are causing deep pain not only to his immediate family, but to millions of Nigeria who see him as a leader. Beyond the personal level, what is happening to Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI has wider implications for our democracy in Nigeria. When a government uses the instrument of the state to keep opposition figures in detention through questionable legal processes, while shielding or accommodating others with heavier allegations, it sends a chilling message. It tells young people that competence and courage may not be punished. Rather, may be punished rather than be rewarded. It tells the North that its leaders can be targeted while others are protected. This is a dangerous path for any democracy to work. We have watched with concern as institutions that should be independent appear to be under pressure. Court adjournment that stretch for weeks, bail conditions that are almost impossible to meet, and the apparent disregard for previous court orders have created a situation where justice seems delayed and in some cases denied. This is not the judiciary many Nigerians respect and look up to. As people who believe in Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI vision for a better Nigeria, we are compelled to speak. We do not seek special treatment for him. We only demand that he should be treated like every other citizens, with fairness, with respect for the law, and with the presumption of his innocence, as the Constitution of Nigeria guaranteed. In light of the above, we make the following demand to the federal government, which is led by President Tinubu, and the Kaduna State government, which is led by His Excellency Senator Malam Ubasani. Immediate and transparent investigation. The federal government must immediately investigate the serious allegation made by Timi Frank regarding a plot to poison Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI. This investigation must be independent, thorough, and its finding must be made public. The second demand is review of bail condition. The court should urgently review the current bail condition imposed on Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI and grant him reasonable bail in accordance with the law. Prolonged detention through unrealistic condition is violation of his fundamental human rights as a Nigerian and as a human being. Our third demand, the federal government must guarantee Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI's safety, while our fourth demand is end to selective persecution. The federal government and relevant agencies must stop targeted harassment and prosecution of opposition figures, particularly those coming from AREWA region, who appear to be bearing the brunt of this crackdown. Our fifth demand, respect for court orders. All court orders granting access to medical care, family and legal counsel must be respected without further hindrance or excuse. Nigeria's democracy is still young. It survived military rule because many people refuse to give up on the idea of a governed by law and not by whom of those in power. We cannot afford to return to an era where political differences are settled through the manipulation of institutions rather than through fair competition and due process. We call on the international community, diplomatic missions, human rights organizations, and all well-meaning Nigerians to pay close attention to what is happening. The treatment of Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI is not just about one man. It is whether Nigeria will remain a country where the law protects everyone or becomes a weapon used against some. We will not be silent, we will not be intimidated, and we will not stop demanding justice for Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI, whose rights are being violated. The movement is rising. Sorry, let me add this. It's not part of the press statement, but I want to assure every Nigerian that if we continue to allow these kind of things to happen in Nigeria, 2027 might be our last attempt to try having election. Because if we don't fight APC, if we don't fight the evil in it, both the ones in human being forms and in their action, we are going to be worse than the military rules that we are celebrating. We are having democracy now. So I would like to call our northern brothers, especially those from Kaduna. We must rise up. We must resist Obasani's attempt to make Kaduna a one-party system. And arresting of Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI will not stop us from our plans and our mission of sending this government back to where they belong. President Tinubu to Lagos, while Obasani might also follow him as well. I would like to state something clearly. If there is one thing the federal government, ICPC, have been doing since the beginning of this ordeal, is that we all know they lie. They lie too much because one, everyone saw when Hajia Aisha went there, it was 7, not 9. She was there 7, and they are saying they have protocol. Their on time is from 6 p.m. to.
Yes, from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m.
So on the question of why they are still holding MALAM NASIRU EL-RUFAI, I think maybe you will help us since you are from NTA. I know you people are closer to government. You should help us ask President Tinubu and Malam Ubasani and the chairman of the ICPC, the guy from, I think, Jigawa, that why is he still holding Malam? And
they said he did not meet his bail condition.
the bail condition is not something that someone can attain, which is unrealistic, which emir from Kaduna, with the kind of tyranny Ubasani is unleashing on us, will agree to do a shorty on Malam. It's not possible. Which civil servant, based on our wages in Nigeria, which civil servant will own a house in Asokoro? Minimum of amount you can get house in Asokoro is close to 300 million upward. If you calculate our civil service wages, how much our PAMSEC living office with, even those in federal government. So those bail conditions are planned so that MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI will not meet them. And believe me, we are law-abiding and we are talking softly now because we are Nigerians. Someone like me, I have nothing to fear, and I fear nobody except my Creator. But wallahi, by Allah, if they continue doing this to MALAM NASIRU El-RUFAI and other leaders, we will speak and we will take action, and our actions are going to be loud. They think I'm joking, but we are looking into that. We'll be after this press statement. We'll wait for them and see whether they are going to get back to their senses, or we have to go back to the comradeship era.
Okay, thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much. First and foremost, the allegation came out from one of the famous, let me say, stalwarts of the APC itself, which is the ruling party. Now, MALAM NASIRU is a member of ADC, as we all know. Now, assuming it was somebody from ADC that made that allegation, it will look as if it's a party or politics rather. Yes. But it came from a member of the ruling party, right? An ex-official of that same party, Timi Frank. Now, thank God, Timi made it with all emphasis. In fact, it was a press release, which I believe some of the press men here must have interrogated that same allegation from Timi. So what we are saying is we are amplifying what such a prominent member of APC could say, could tell the world, to please let us escalate this, if possible, and we demand with empathy, vehemently, that please, there should be an investigation in that particular claims, so that it is the right of this individual who has been denied access. Now, to answer your question, if anybody from his family, yes, like the question asked, which my fellow comrade here was also responding to, one of the wives of Malam made it categorically clear she was denied access to this man to give him food and drugs. In fact, she sat with his doctor for 3 hours. Now, the doctor could not access this, not until that woman raised the alarm that this is it. Some of you press members actually rushed to the scene. It is very clear that Malam is going through some health challenges which has to do with ears and his eyes. Now, there has been some back and forth to the hospitals. Now, how do we tell that this same illness is not even symptoms of poison? In the first place, that building, how safety is that building? How long do they intend to keep you under that building? So if we had before now, the same individual raised alarm that poisonous content, substance rather, was imported into the country. And he wrote a letter demanding the accountability of such supplies. And nobody said anything. And today, the same individual is under detention and is having eye problem, an ear problem, and he has been denied. So, under democracy, not military dictatorship leadership, you want us to all assume that all is well with this. No. Nigerians deserve better. Malam Nasiru El-RUFAI is somebody that should be allowed to go home on self-recognition. No matter the case. After all, it's not about murder. It's not about what? Maybe plots. Coup plots, sorry. So on that ground, for God's sake, why is Malam being turned into political instrument by the so-called governor in Kaduna, Malam Obasani? This is somebody that wrote on the back of this same individual